Hey, welcome to the Relentless Positivity Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Martin. My guest today is Amy Connell. She's a certified personal trainer. Here's what she wants you to do. She wants to ask you for you to take a rest day, and she's a nutrition coach who wants you to enjoy dessert. We got trouble right off the bat. So she founded her company, Graced Health, in 2016 to equip women with simple and grace-filled ways to take care and appreciate their God-created bodies and maybe even enjoy a little chocolate in the process. Amy, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I know, heaven forbid, a little chocolate and a rest day.
Okay. I mean, right off the bat, we just got problems with the fitness industry right here. So you said about yourself that, hey, I'm a rule follower, but clearly in the introduction, you are not a rule follower. So let's talk about why did you write a book about breaking all these fitness rules?
I did write a book about breaking all of the fitness rules because I spent way too many years trying to follow the rules and really ending up feeling a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, and really not just enjoying my life the way that I believe that I was meant to be enjoying it and living it to its fullest, because I was always so focused on making sure that I had just the right food and had all of the right exercise. And I kind of lost track of what was important. And then kind of in that process, and there's a lot of stuff that goes in between, I just realized that actually this was not really how I was made to live. And I am a person of faith. And I really kind of felt God saying one time, you are paying more attention to the food you're eating and the exercise you're going to do than you're paying attention to me and what I want you doing.
Yeah.
So through a progression of events that, of course, I feel like just are divinely inspired, I really learned the crux of what the book is about. The book is called My Worthy Body, and it is that we take care of ourselves so we can do what we're called to do, not so it'll look a certain way, not so we can reach some physical goals, but so that way we can use our body to love others, to serve others, and to do the things that we need to be doing every day.
Well, that's pretty awesome calling right there.
Yeah.
So let's get into these. What's some of these health rules that need to go away? They need to be broken.
Okay. So just so your listeners know, and you and I were talking about this before we got on, but I am 47 years old. So I have kind of gone through the decades and progressed and evolved in the way that I think about movement. Now, when I grew up, the concept of working out was you go to the gym or you go outside, you slam your face against the wall, you try and get as much sweat as you can, you try and burn as many calories as you can, and that's your workout. So one of the rules is there's a ton of them, but one is that I have to work out for a full hour. Well, actually, and you know this, you're a fitness professional. I mean, yes, if you love to work out for a full hour, work out for a full hour. But there's a lot of science that supports really short, quick bursts of movement, high intensity interval classes. My guess is you incorporate those in your classes. And if your listeners are active, they probably know what those are. Those are actually better served when they're like 20 to 30 minutes long in the true high intensity. Now, I will say, as a fitness professional, I know that sometimes we'll incorporate some of those in and then do something else. So I don't want to, I don't know how your class, your boot camps and your classes are structured, but we can kind of tweak around. We can work around that. Another thing is, walking isn't a real workout. As I've gotten older, I realized that if I go into every exercise session, or I like to say movement session, it just trying to blow it all out of the water, I'm also going to blow out my connective tissue. I'm going to hurt my muscles. I'm going to hurt my joints, something like that. Walking is such a wonderful complement to how you like to move, or if that's the only way you like to move, then just do it. I mean, it provides cardiovascular benefits. It provides mental health benefits. It can really help your relationships. Believe it or not, I can tell you this one: get on the sidewalks with a friend and go walking, and you can work out some hard things if you need
Absolutely,
to.
Yeah.
Another one is no pain, no gain. Pain is really a gift from our body. It's our body telling us that we need to pay attention to something. It's saying, hey, I'm knocking. Are you going to listen to me? Because this knee tweak means that you need to either not jump as high or not squat as high or do a little rehab or prehab or, self-myofascial rolling. I mean, all kinds of different things, but it's a gift. When we walk into a workout expecting that we have to just be in a lot of pain in order to receive benefits, well, that's kind of not congruent with what we're trying to do. We're trying to take care of ourselves. Pain is the opposite of that. And just to clarify, pain is not the same thing as hard. So hard is when you wake up the next morning and you're, climbing up the stairs and like, ooh, I'm sore. That's not pain.
Yeah.
That's just hard, reminding you of your work. Pain are those, really sharp things, those things that wake you up in the middle of the night. Those are the kinds of things that we have to take care of. And no pain, no gain is, I think, one of the sayings that the fitness industry has said. I think it's been misconstrued, and it sets the wrong mindset as well for our workouts. So
It
those are
looked good.
just a few of
Yeah, it
them.
looked good on a T-shirt at one time, so I think people just ran with it.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna update that one. No brain, no gain. You got to use your brain, right?
I
You got to
love
use it.
it.
Yeah, we're gonna update that one. So yeah, those are
Yeah.
great. And like you said, there are hundreds of them out there that you could go over, and you go over them in your book. That's really good. They need to go check that. We'll talk about the book a little bit more later. But so there's all these rules out there. We don't need to be following all of them. Let me ask you this, what should we be following, especially specifically for women? That's kind of your specialty. Women above 40, what needs to change as far as how is your eating, how you're moving your body? What changes for them?
Well, that's a great question. And I think that is a, maybe an underserved population, because when we, especially now, we pull up Instagram, we pull up Facebook, we pull up TikTok, and it's just a lot of younger women doing things. And maybe some people are able to continue doing that, but a lot of us can't, even those of us who have been active for a long time. I think for women over 40, if they're sitting there going, you know what, I don't feel the same that way that I need to, and I kind of need to think about moving, I need to figure something out because I don't feel like I used to. A couple things to consider is, you don't have to have these super long, intense sessions every single time. I would say, 2 or 3 times a week. That is going to be able to get you what you're looking for from a metabolic standpoint, from a fitness and conditioning standpoint. And then the other side of that is take down your workouts, practice yoga, do things like, mobility is another wonderful thing that I love. And that I actually include a mobility workout in my book, in my workout. Again, walk. Those are great times to take that down, because as women, our hormones are just going all over the place, going up and going down, and it's hard to know. And when we constantly put our body under stress with these long, intense workout sessions, then we are raising our cortisol. And this is probably not news to people who are kind of tuned in with that. And then all of that elevated cortisol has a host of other side effects that we do. Another thing that's important is to move in different ways. And that's one reason why I'm a big fan of mobility, why I'm a big fan of yoga, because we need to have, this word, but I don't know if everyone does, but we need to have transverse movements, which is moving your body kind of rotationally from side to side. This helps our connective tissue. This helps our, also our fascia, our ligaments, our tendons, and that will help keep them supple. It will help keep them moving in all the different ways. So that way, when we go to sit on the ground, like I love sitting on the ground and loving on my dog. Well, if I'm not moving in a lot of different ways, then if I sit cross-legged for a couple times, then I stiffen up. Whereas that doesn't really happen to, teenagers, something like that, or even when we were younger. Real quickly, a couple others are strength training for women. So important to maintain that muscle mass. We do lose muscle as we get older, but we can slow that degradation of our muscle with doing some strength training. It will also help keep our metabolic rate going. Resting, super important. You've got to get your sleep. You've got to take some days off. You've got to let your body come down from that elevated point of your higher intensity workouts. And then also keeping in mind that your hormones change. As far as eating goes, we do need to change. I have had a guest on my podcast who is a gynecologist and she's more just for women's health for older. And she was talking about hormones as you get older. And the two things that she recommended were intermittent fasting and the Mediterranean diet. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of following all of these, a bunch of hard and fast rules, but I think that is something to try if if you're struggling with that from an eating perspective. In general, I feel like the more we can pay attention to just eating like foods in the way that they were came in, that that our body knows what to do with it. And it may be that as we get older, we have a little more time to spend meal prepping and cutting things and doing some things to get some high quality foods in us, rather than grabbing the quickest and easiest thing from a bag or a box or through the car of our window. So those are a few things to focus on for women over 40.
Man, we have very similar how we do go about things. I was very happy to hear all that because with nutrition, there's so many things that are like, well, you should do this. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that works for this person and not this person. Almost everything in nutrition is, it depends. Intermittent fasting
100%.
works awesome for some people, terrible for other people. They hate it. It's not good. They can't stick with it. The Mediterranean diet, awesome for some people. Some people, they can't stand it. So,
Right.
but you're
Right.
giving us those great options that, hey, find something. If you're getting back to eating whole natural foods, that's a great start. I don't care what you're doing, right?
I completely agree. It's funny. I spent about probably 2 to 3 years doing some intermittent fasting. And as I am pushing closer and closer to 50, that's just not working for me right now. I need to have some fuel for my brain. I need to have some fuel for my body. And so I've just put that to the side. Maybe I get back to it. Maybe I don't. But for me, I really feel like right now, this is not what I need to be doing. And I don't want to be putting my body under any more stress. So yeah, I totally agree. Like and that's the hard thing too, because we want to follow something. We just want to be able to do what they say to do,
Yep.
and for it to work out. But our bodies are all different. Our bodies are all unique. And so we owe it to ourselves to experiment. We owe it to ourselves to try something, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And it's frustrating when it doesn't, but then we know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I completely agree with you on all of that.
And you made a great point. Don't be afraid to experiment. Go try these things. See if it works for you. You'll never know until you try it, right? So you found out intermittent fasting worked until it didn't, and now you're switching it up. But you learn some lessons from that. You glean lessons from these things. You go on. You figure out how your body works, because we're all kind of a study in our own bodies, and they're ever changing. So that's great that you're in tune with that and you can fix it up. So we talked about it a little bit, but what's missing for the fitness industry, specifically for women over 40? What's missing?
Yeah, I think one of the things is this mindset change that many women experience. And that is, it's not always just about weight. It's not always just about how we look. I can't tell you how many clients I have come who are over 40, and they have been taking care of their children. They've been taking care of their jobs, of their husbands, of their dogs. Cats don't require a lot of care from what I understand, but they've been taking care of everyone else, and they just want to take care of themselves. And so many of them have said, Amy, I don't care what I look like. I just want to take care of myself. But then they'll walk into maybe group fitness classes, or get on that whatever streaming program they have, and it's all about calories and shredding and fat loss and all of that kind of stuff. It's not just about how we look anymore. It's more about wanting to feel well. It's more about wanting to just take care of ourselves. Another thing is this lack of understanding about hormones, and it is confusing. But our hormones are going crazy. They're going up, they're going down. They're day to day, sometimes side to side. I've had clients come in and like, I've had clients cancel, for example, because she's like in that middle of that menopausal thing, and she's got a migraine, and I'm like, then that's okay. Like, these are the kinds of things that we have to make allowances for, rather than comparing to how we used to be able to move, how we used to always be able to roll out of bed at 4:45 for that 5:30 a.m. class. Well, maybe we just need to be a little more gentle with ourselves. Maybe we need to change when we move, or take it down a little bit. Another thing that I kind of talked about earlier is, the intensity does not have to be super high every time. Get out, move your body. I'm a huge proponent of that. However that is, however you like to do it, but it doesn't have to be slam your face against the wall hard as you can every single time. And in fact, I would say that may do more harm than good. And, the other thing too, that kind of goes along with some of what we were talking about, is I feel like the fitness industry is lacking in empowering women over 40 to do what they need to do. I just got an email from a member of my community today who said, I'm 55 and I don't like to go to group fitness classes anymore because I can't do what I used to be able to do. And I feel bad. And then I end up hurting myself. So I think as fitness professionals, it's our job to say, hey, this is an option. This is your phase, whatever it is. And as women over 40 to say, this is not right for me, and I'm going to do what it is, and just be confident in that and stop comparing ourselves to everyone else and what other people are doing, especially if you're in a big group fitness room and you're 47 and there's a 27-year-old male. We're just going to move differently. Like we
Yeah.
can't compare. I mean, that kind of thing only leads to, at best, frustration, at worst, injury.
Yeah. Keep your eyes on your own paper, right?
Totally.
Don't be trying to cheat off someone else's, because, like you said, everyone's so much different. We have, in my classes, I've got people in their 20s all the way up in their 70s. Now, if the 20-year-old and the 70-year-old are trying to compete with each other, I'm not sure it's going to end very well for the 70-year-old. Well, I don't know. I got some pretty buff 70-year-olds, but yeah, there should be. Yeah, and if you're listening right now and you go to group fitness, the trainer should offer you different levels. There shouldn't be hey, this is the only way. They should offer low impact options in there to get you. So you can. That's what we do in our class. We want to just keep you moving at your pace, your level, because it's our job as fitness professionals to meet you where you are and get you where you want to go. It's not just, hey, here's how to do this. All you get, all burpees all day long,
Right, right.
or
And I would add to that too. If you come in and you know that your right knee is really giving you problems, go tell the instructor.
Mhm.
Tell the coach, tell the trainer, whoever it is, like, hey, can you show me? And then there's something psychological, and I'm not smart enough to know what it is. But when you tell the person who's leading and they say, hey, Amy, this is what I want you to do instead, all of a sudden you're like, okay, cool. And then you don't feel like you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You feel like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, even though it might be different than what the rest of the group is doing.
Yeah, that's great. And just being able to listen to your body and being at that level that you can do that is it's pretty mature. That's very mature right there. So I know there's someone out listening right now is like, okay, that's all well and good, but I've got this number on the scale. I'm not happy about it. What would you say to someone? Because I know they're discouraged. They hate that number on the scale. What would you say to them?
Well, they're not alone, for one. And
Yeah.
I will say, even though I have been on this journey, I have been, I wrote this entire book. I've got 292 pages of stuff out there of why we don't need to be focused on the scale. I can tell you that I get frustrated sometimes. I don't really weigh anymore, but I'm like, ooh, something's going on and I'm not really sure what it is. So they are definitely not alone. But I would say, let's kind of take a step back and let's think about, like, what's your why? Why are you working out? Why are you moving your body? And there's probably a greater reason than one of those extrinsic motivations. That extrinsic being my size, the scale, what that fabric measuring tape says, something like that. We want it to be a little bit bigger. It more like, again, I want to take care of myself. I want to feel good when I get out of bed in the morning. Like kind of putting it more into that intrinsic, that self-guided motivation. The other thing too that I think is really important that people sometimes forget is the impact they are making on their sphere of influence. And what I mean by that is, for example, I have a client who I train sometimes in person, sometimes over Zoom. So when we're over Zoom, she has twin 5-year-old little girls. Well, one of the little girls will join us and she'll just kind of move it around, and it's cute, and she moves like a 5-year-old. Well, then those little girls later on, they'll like play workout with each other, and they'll, pretend like they're teaching each other to do stuff like that. So she's impacting her daughters in ways that she never intended to. You might have this with your coworkers. They might be like, wow, he's getting up and, going to the gym every day, or during at lunch, or whatever that is. Or it might be on your spouse, who maybe has been somewhat sedentary. And I'm not saying to do it in a nagging, but it might inspire them to, again, put some shoes on and go around for the block. So recognizing your sphere of influence, I think, is one. Another one too is just taking notice of, rather than frustration with the scale, how are we functionally changing? So are you sleeping better? Is your mental health better? Is your waist better? I mean, my family knows I'm kind of the official potty humor, but like your waist can tell you a lot.
Yeah.
And if you want to know, look up Bristol stool scale and you can learn a little bit. There's your TMI information for that for the day. Are your body aches if you're waking up in pain or, in the middle of the night? And then again, too, like, how's your fitness performance? Are you getting stronger? Can you run farther? Can you jump higher? Can you hold a plank longer? All of these things are examples of progress that may or may not relate to the scale. And then the other thing too, just from a practicality standpoint to remember is you may lose fat loss, but you may gain muscle. And so that scale is reflecting the more dense muscle, and not, so it's reflecting that change as well. So that's also something to consider.
That's great. There's so many non-scale victories out there if you're looking for them. That's just,
Yeah.
if you put all of your hopes into that number on the scale, which can go up or down 8 to 10 pounds, one way or the other, depending on what time you're weighing in, you're probably not going to be a happy person. That scale is a fickle mistress, is what I call it. So,
isn't it? I know.
Yeah.
And I've just gotten to the point. I'm like, I don't weigh anymore because I get on it and it's lower than expected. And I'm like, woohoo. And it's just all, game on. Or I get on and it's higher and I'm frustrated. And so I'm like, this is telling me nothing. This is doing nothing for me. It's doing nothing for my mental health. I'm wanting to feel well. I'm wanting to be confident in how I'm doing. So I just have decided I'm just not getting on the scale. And thank God I have a wonderful doctor who just doesn't, she doesn't even bring it up. I'm kind of dense. I've got a lot of muscle mass. My BMI is always kind of like on the high end of normal. She didn't even blink at it. She's like, whatever, I know you're good. So I'm like, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good doctor right there. So,
Yeah, she is.
kind of along those same lines, tell me about how harmful it is, shame and guilt, because you see it a lot. People have it a lot, especially with the scale. Where does that play in the long-term health?
Yeah, that is such a great question. And I am not a mental health professional, so I think it's really important that I bring that out. But when I think about how shame and guilt, and their effects of their long-term health, I mean, one of the things that I think about are, when we're feeling guilty because we had a piece of chocolate, or shame because we missed a workout, or any other thing, we start creating these negative pathways in our brain. And consistent negative thoughts really do have an impact on our stress levels. They can have an impact in inflammation, which can cause some chronic illness. It can lead to a lot of anxiety and depression, which, if I'm understanding everything, and because this is such a learning process for me, but that can also have a really big impact on your gut health, which is kind of what I'm learning, like the driver for all things health in our body. And so when we are allowing all of those negative thoughts to be circling around in our head and dictating whether we feel like we're successful or not, and really making us feel poorly, it just kind of works its way down back to the rest of the body. And again, that it creates that cortisol, that stress. It raises inflammation. Increased inflammation makes you more susceptible to injury. So then you come and you're like, well, I had dessert last night, or I had a big night, or I had a big vacation. I'm going to come in, I'm going to do a 2-hour gym session. Well, you're walking in feeling bad. You're already walking in inflamed because I shouldn't say you probably, but you might have, enjoyed vacation too much. We'll just say that. Again, whatever the situation is. And then we're asking our body to do even more. So it's going to be more inflamed, and it's just injury and disaster waiting to happen. And that's when we go back to, what's our why? What are we trying to do? What are our long-term goals? And there are ways that we can reset without putting our body under just a tremendous amount of stress. And shame and guilt are not one of them.
That's right. They're definitely not long-term strategy. They'll keep you on the roller coaster, the up and down roller coaster. Don't do it. Don't do
No.
it to yourself. So, Amy, this is awesome. This is some much needed stuff out there. We talked a little bit. I just joked around that when we were talking before, that if you're over 40, the fitness industry they think you're dead. But we have 40 or 50 years left in us of still taking care of our health, being fit as possible, being as healthy as possible. So thank you for what you're doing out there, spreading that message. Someone needs to spread it, right?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you. And what better way than an over 40 woman for sure.
That's right. Yeah.
Well,
So
I'm living it.
tell people how they can follow you.
Absolutely. Well, there are a couple different places. Number one, I am the host of the Graced, GRACED Health Podcast. I like to say we have grace-filled conversations about physical, spiritual, and mental health. So it's not just workout stuff. It is our holistic health. I am the author of Your Worthy Body, and the subtitle is Find Freedom and Health by Breaking All the Rules. So like we talked about, I take 22 health and fitness rules and I break them using exercise science, nutrition science, and it's all done through a lens of faith. So I get very technical in there, but in a way that people can understand and figure out how to apply it to their own lives. And then the other thing, let's see, I'm on Grace Instagram. I'm up and down on my involvement, but I'm Graced Health there. That's where I am on my website as well. And then I actually today, as we're recording, I released something called B.COMPLETE. It's B dot complete, like the letter B dot complete. And it is all the ways that we want to be moving as we get older, but we don't always take the time to do. So it's just a class. I'm not here to do a program. I'm not here to circumvent how anyone likes to move. It's just a nice addition. And so it is balance, core, what I call mini muscle. So it's that hip musculature, pausing, kind of integrating that mind body. It's got some lengthening and transverse exercises. So that's the acronym of B.COMPLETE. But that is, I can give you the link, but it's gracedhealth.com / the letter B - complete. But those are great ways to connect with me, to drink a little more of this grace-filled Kool-Aid.
Awesome. I need some more of this. So I'm a little thirsty. I need to come get some more of that. So I'll link all that in show notes. If you guys didn't catch that, I'll link that so you can go directly to the link. So Amy, keep up the great work. You're needed in the fitness industry for sure.
Thank you so much, Joe. It's been a lot of fun.
All right, cool. Y'all make sure you go check out those because we all need a little balance and mobility and all that. Excuse me, good stuff. Thank you for go check her out. I'm gonna go check it out. You guys tune in for the next one and spread this message. This is a message that needs to be out there. So thank you, Amy.
Thank you.